Hi again, it's Linda, and this is kind of a continuation or related video to the turned edge applique that I did previously for using Whisper Light to do turned edge appliques. And this is related to that. Today we're going to focus on circles, which turned edge applique with a Whisper Light makes beautiful circles, you'll see, and also reverse applique. If you've never done reverse applique, it's really cool and you can do some really neat things. So let's get started. So, of course, you're going to need some Whisper Light tracer. It's a super lightweight foundation, not a fusible. There's no glue involved whatsoever. And you can draw on it, you can iron it. It's really cool stuff. So, you're going to take some Whisper Light and you're going to use a circle template. Now, this is a cool template that I got at a office supply or drafting store. So if you can find one of these, this is great. It gives you all kinds of different size circles, or you can use something round and trace around it. So today we're going to use my circle templates, and you're going to put the Whisper Light. I usually put it on a piece of paper. You'll see why in a moment. And then you're going to take a marking tool, and you have a choice. You can use a number 2 pencil, and you're going to draw a circle on the Whisper Light. Or you can use a washout marker. And some of this is going to depend upon the color of your fabric. You can use a washout marker. And I have these on my website, thistledownquilts.com. Or you can use the friction pen. And the friction pen, it's a nice black fine ballpoint. This removes with heat. In other words, your iron. This removes with water, and the pencil stays in place. So you can choose any one of those to draw your circle, and it's going to depend upon the color of your fabric. The friction shows up real nice in this case. So does the pencil, and so does the washout marker. So you can choose one. So we've drawn our circle. And the reason I put a piece of paper underneath is the Whisper Light is so lightweight that your marks are going to bleed through. And so you don't want to mar up your surface that you're working on. So I usually just put a piece of scrap paper underneath. So then we are going to cut out one of the circles. Just cut around it, not on the line or anything, just a square. Okay. And then we're going to put it on the right side of our fabric. And you can choose where to put it. Like if you wanted that design in the middle, you can see through the Whisper Light, so you can place your motif just where you want it. So we're going to put that there. And then we're going to pin it. And it's on the right side of your fabric. As I said in my other video, if you're wondering, do I have the Whisper Light on the right side? Yes, on the right side. Easy way to remember. Because you think, why am I putting it on the right side? But you'll find out. Okay, got it pinned in place. We're going to go to the machine and we're going to stitch exactly on the line. And because this is a smallish circle, I'm going to put a stitch length of 2.0 on my machine. So it's a shorter than normal stitch length. And we're going to go to the machine. And I'm using a contrasting thread so you can see it, but when you do it, you would want to use a matching thread. So you're just going to stitch right on the line. If you have a needle down feature in your machine, go ahead and use it, so whenever you stop to pivot, your needle's down in the fabric so you don't get any ziggity zags in your stitching. They stay in a nice line. Sometimes you want to, depending how small your circle is, you want to stop and let your fabric relax. And just slight pivoting. Take your pins out as you come to them. So you're stitching through the Whisper Light directly on the line. And you're going to go all the way around. Not going to leave any openings. there. Okay, you're gonna meet up right where you started. Okay. And cut your threads. Cut your threads. And you're gonna come back over here. Okay. So there you can see our circle and the whisper light. And you are simply going to trim. And you're gonna trim away and just leave a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance. It's easy so far, isn't it? Ta-da! Okay, there's a circle, but we want to turn the edges under. We're going to, there we go, nice sharp little scissors. Cut a little slit, and then you're simply going to start turning it a little big X. And you're going to turn it right sides too. And because Whisper Light is so light, there's no bulk, but it's going to turn your edges under. Oh, I launched it. Going to turn your edges under. Okay, now, let me get this out of the way. You're going to take your purple thing, which is a handy dandy little tool. I love this thing. And it's a nice edge turner. And you're going to go between the seam allowance of the fabric and the fabric. If you try poking this out, you're going to go right through the Whisper Light because it's so light. So get your little purple thing in between the fabric and the fabric and work all the edges out. Okay. And then look at that beautiful circle. Give it a press. Yes, I have these cute little irons. They don't take water. It looks like it takes water, but it doesn't take water. I've never put water in my irons because I've purchased expensive irons, cheap irons, and when you put water in your iron, they're fine at first, but eventually, I'm sorry, but they all spit. So I usually just keep a spray bottle on hand with some water in it. So this circle turned beautifully. Now, if you have an area that's being stubborn, if you spray a little water, cotton's a natural fabric, and when it gets wet, it has more give. So you can just simply spritz a little water, and you can get it to shape a little more if you need to, but this came out really, really nice. So there is an easy edge-turned circle ready to applique on. Isn't that gorgeous? And you can do it all different sizes. Here's a little one. Okay. And so the same thing, you're just gonna stitch around, cut around the outside, turn it right sides too, and press. And it's ready to applique down. All kinds of beautiful little circles. Easy peasy. And to applique them down, if you saw in our last video, you can do it several ways. You can use an applique stitch by hand. You can do an edge stitch by machine. You can do a blanket stitch by hand. All sorts of ways to applique this to your background. But it's beautiful circles. They're easy to make. Make them different sizes. You can, you know, find a circle template. Or if you're making a pattern that calls for circles, it'll have circles for you to trace. I do recommend trying to find one of these. It's been years since I bought this one, but they're really handy to have if you're not using a particular size circle. So this is a lot of fun, but now we're going to get into something really cool called reverse applique. So it's pretty much the same thing. I've traced a circle. Okie doke. And I'm going to pin it to my fabric. On the right side, take it to my machine. And again, we're going to stitch directly on the line. And I'm using a 2.0 stitch length. Take your pins out as you come to them. So reverse applique, you probably don't see it a lot unless you're looking for it. But it's used in many quilts if you have several layers of applique. This is a way to not have all kinds of bulk. Okay, we've stitched all the way around. Clip our threads. Okay, now, instead of cutting around the outside like we did on the other circles, we're going to cut out the middle. So you're going to take and put a snip in the middle, so you can get your scissors in there, and you're going to cut, and you're going to leave a seam allowance on the inside, a 1/4 inch seam allowance on the inside, a scant 1/4 inch seam. So you're going to keep cutting around. Okay, so we've cut out the middle. Now, because it's inner curves, we're going to snip, 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 snip. We're going to snip all around. And just be careful. You don't want to snip into your stitching. That wouldn't be good. So, but this is going to make a turn. Do it from the other side, you can see better. Sorry. Almost there. Okay, so you can see I've snipped all the way around. Okay, so we did the whisper light, we sewed around the circle, we cut the middle out, leaving a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance, snipped in the. Now we're going to take the whisper light and we're going to turn it to the back side. Flip it over. And then we're going to start pressing. What's nice about this little iron is you can keep your fingers out of the way easy when you're doing small stuff like this. So you're going to pull the whisper light. And like I said, you're going to use a matching thread when you do it. So don't do as I do, do as I say. I wanted to use a contrast so you can see it. Almost there. And you can do this with other shapes, not just circles, but it does make beautiful circles. Ta-da. And then you can put it on your background. Isn't that cool? So you could do this, and then if you had another layer underneath, you could do another one, and then that color would show through. So you can layer and see the layers underneath. That's, I don't know if you're familiar with molas. It's a really cool form of reverse applique done in South America. And those are very cool. And that's the type of technique that's used. So this is reverse applique. And then again, you would either do a hand applique stitch or a blanket stitch to adhere this to your background. So that's what a reverse applique is. So instead of cutting out the outside, you're cutting out the inside and turning the whisper light to the wrong side. And that creates your reverse applique. Isn't that fun? And I thought, well, we can do something else too that's really fun. So this time, we are going to do a heart. Okay? So I drew a heart. Actually, I had a template, little heart cardboard template. And I put it on the whisper light. Get this out of the way. Put it on the whisper light. And traced it. Get out there. Okay, and then I cut it out. I put it on my fabric, stitched all the way around. And here I used a matching thread. Okay, so we're going to do reverse applique on this as well. So it's stitched down on the right side. We're going to cut this out. And this, again, can be, you could do this with ovals, you can do it with circles, you can do it with, you know, all different shapes. But I thought this would be a fun one to do. Wait till you see. This is going to be a combination of applique and reverse applique. But in this case, we're going to do the reverse applique first. Okay, and then here in the heart, you want to snip into the point and not into your thread. And then the tight corners, again, you're going to clip to the stitching, but not through the stitching. And over here, okay, and you can cut off that little point there too. Okay, so then, again, we're going to take our whisper light to the back side. Start working it. And then you're going to take your purple thing, because we got a little point here. So you want to get that poked through. There's a little point. Okay. Okay, we can start to press. that's why we clipped those corners, those edges. Almost. Over to the right side. And continue pressing. And make sure it's poked out all the way. Okay, so there's a reverse applique. But we take another piece of Whisper Light, and then we're going to lay it on top, and then we're going to pin it down. Turn that to pin to the pressing surface. And you could do this with a circle. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the machine, and if your machine has needle position, I'm going to take this all the way over to my farthest needle position, which on my machine is 6. And it's moving my needle all the way to the right. And then I'm going to use the edge of my foot on the left as a guide. And I am going to position the foot right at the edge of the applique. Okay? So then, and I'm using white thread, you'll be able to see, you're going to stitch using the edge of your foot as a guide, and you're going to use kind of like an outline stitch around your applique shape. Now, because you want to check and see, we have to go one more stitch because this point, we have to go way down to check. You go like this, and you can see my foot's going to line up then with the next edge. Use it as a guide. Just slowly go along. Again, if you have needle down position on your machine, use it. If not, anytime you want to pivot, make sure your needle's down in the fabric. Go slow and check, and there you go. Time to pivot. This is really a fun little technique, and I'm sure you can find all kinds of ways to use it. You'll see momentarily what we're going to have. And there we go, back to the beginning. So, we've created a reverse applique and pressed it. And then we laid Whisper Light over the top. And then we edge stitched away from the edge using the edge of our presser foot as a guide. Okay, now we are going to cut a 1/4 inch on the outside of the stitching we just did. Okay, you're going to cut off the little point, and you're going to snip into the innie there. Okay, so now slice a whisper light, and even though there's no middle to this applique, we're treating it like it's a regular applique. And like all the others, we're going to turn it right side too. Looks like a mess. There. Okay. And this we want to poke through. Get our nice little point down here. That's what I like about the purple thing, is it's not so sharp that it doesn't hurt your fabric when you're poking it. Okay, so what we're ending up with is an applique that's virtually an outline shape. Okay, press it. Isn't that fun? So then, of course, you're going to cut out this whisper light. And it cuts super easy. So you're just going to cut away all this. And so you could do this with, like I said, circles, ovals, hearts, wonky shapes, leaves. And now you have a frame like this. You can put it on a background. You could even print someone's picture on fabric and frame it with something like this. You could do it big, you can do it small, but that is a applique, reverse applique. And I mean, it really is easy using the whisper light and turning it. You don't have any bulk, you know, you've got the seam allowances, but you don't have extra fabric. And just press it, comes out real nice, and then you can hand applique it to the background if you want, or you can do other things. But in the previous video I showed how to hand applique. You use a matching thread, you go down, you come up, and you can stitch it down by hand or by machine. But I thought that is a fun little technique, using applique, reverse applique. And then of course you have your reverse applique. And then of course you have your beautiful little circles. Easy to do. A lot easier than just trying to like draw a line and needle turn. You get much smoother edges. They come out really cute. You can layer them. So I hope you had fun doing this, and I think you will have fun. Give that a try, and you won't dread making circles anymore. And give it reverse applique a try. It's a lot of fun. You can do a lot of neat techniques with it. And so that's today's video, and thank you for joining me. I'm having fun with fabric. I hope you are too. Thanks so much, and check out my website, thistledownquilts.com, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much.